You are the rock, and you are the stone. The river's your blood, the mountain's your bone. You are the source of all I'll ever know. Forever my mother, forever my home. Oh, oh, this town is so cold. Neon magicians, they offer the fools their gold. For there is somewhere I'd rather be, in your wild places with the land and the sky and the sea. Every step follows those gone before, mystics and saints, down to the shore. Echoing waves and the curlews cry. I call out your name, and I hear your reply. Oh, oh, this town is so cold. Neon magicians, they offer the fools their gold. For there is somewhere I'd rather be, in your wild places with the land and the sky and the sea. Cynical thoughts and lies that distort all that is true. All that is true, they disappear when I feel that you're near, when I'm with you, when I'm with you. Oh, so cold. Neon magicians, they offer the fools their gold. For there is somewhere I'd rather be, in your wild places with the land and the sky. In your wild places with the land and the sky. In your wild places with the land and the sky and the sea.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church West on this chilly November Sunday. My name is Rob Zimmerman, and I'm a member of your Board of Trustees and serve as the president this year. The pronouns that I use are he and him. If you are a visitor, either here or online, we hope that you will feel welcome here. If you'd like to connect further or ask a question, You can talk to us after the service, or you can send an email to visitor@uucw.org. You can connect with us by using the welcome side of the yellow form that you received when you came in. The other side of that form is a place to share your personal joys and concerns. You can place that form, whether to connect or to share, in the offering baskets later or in the box on the side table. There's also a QR code on your order of service to share something electronically. And anytime during the service, you're invited to go to the side table over there to light a candle, and you'll find pens or pencils there or in baskets at the back of the room. After story time, those who are in grade 5 and younger are invited to go with our religious education leaders to their own programming. Note that the community room is available with a TV set up to view and hear the service. There's also an activity table here in this room for active hands and minds of all ages. And of course, all ages are always welcome in the sanctuary. I'm excited to be here this morning and be part of this service exploring a topic of personal and professional interest, water. Much has been written about how Milwaukee as we know it today was built here because of access to Lake Michigan and the natural harbor formed by the convergence of our three rivers into an ecologically rich estuary. For the same reasons, this area was home to Native Americans for thousands of years. Historic settlements of 4 Native American groups, the Fox, Mascoutin, Potawatomi, and Menominee, were documented along the Milwaukee River and remained in the area for a short time after their lands were ceded to the United States in 1833. Although there is no single agreed-upon meaning for the Anishinaabe word Milwaukee, the list of candidates includes the good land, rich or beautiful land, gathering place by the river, or place of the gathering of the multitudes. As we worship together today, we must acknowledge that the history of the place we call Milwaukee includes the tragic treatment of the indigenous peoples who were careful stewards of the land and water for thousands of years before the first European settlers arrived. Those of us who are not indigenous have directly benefited from that history. We must also pay deep respect to the knowledge and ethic of sustainability that was a central part of the culture of those that lived here before European settlement. Wisdom our community and wider world desperately need to center if we have any hope of surviving. Before the 1850s, Lake Michigan boasted approximately 150 separate species of fish, including lake sturgeon up to 9 feet long, as well as whitefish, herring, trout, blue pike, and yellow perch. The Milwaukee River ran clear, described by an early settler as a silver thread in which Indians could detect and spear fish at a depth of 12 and 18 feet. Within 60 years of Milwaukee's incorporation as a city, the Menominee Valley wetlands were filled and the river was described as an open sewer. We also acknowledge our need to address racism, which continues to lead to the violent deaths of Black and Indigenous peoples. We know that anti-Black racism and settler colonialism perpetuate inequalities, injustices, poverty, and exclusion in U.S. society. We commit ourselves to becoming an anti-racist faith community dedicated to equity and racial justice. There are a few announcements beyond those listed in your order of service that I'd like to share with you today. First, a hearty thank you to all who organized, ran, performed for, donated to, and purchased items in last night's UUCW auction, including members of our stewardship team, musicians, and of course, the MCs, Deb Reish and Reverend Julie. I've been told we raised over $18,000 last night, so. Second thing is the plan is for our nursery to be open starting next Sunday, November 20th, to help care for infants during services. Now, I say plan because we're not certain yet that everything's put together. If you need certainty for next Sunday, please call Dave Cicero to confirm that this week. Otherwise, the plan is to open on the 27th. Third, Black Lives Matter to Wisconsin UUs is hosting a panel presentation on the book My Grandmother's Hands by Resmaa Menakem. The event originally was to be held in person, but is now being done as a webinar only on Saturday, December 3rd from 10 to 12:30. Sign up will be coming soon. For more information, see Karen Zimmerman. And finally, we continue to monitor the COVID and other respiratory disease situations in the area. At this time, the COVID risk remains medium, and we are not recommending changes to our mask policy at UUCW. However, we recall that COVID surges happened in the fall of each of the past 2 years, and that COVID isn't the only bug going around. If the risk levels continue to increase, we may have to require masks again. In the meantime, if you feel more comfortable wearing a mask, please know that your choice is respected here. It really is a privilege to gather together and to attend to things that matter in life. You all are welcome here.
Good morning. My name is Eileen Gleeson, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm a member of our worship ministry team that coordinates services at UUCW when our minister is not in the pulpit. This morning, it is my pleasure to introduce our pulpit guest, Jim Fischer. For most of us, he is no stranger, especially me, since he's my husband. He's been a member of UUCW since 1992. He was a religious education teacher for 20 years, teaching everything from our 5K program through the Our Whole Lives program. He served on the 1996-97 nominating committee, the 1998-99 capital campaign committee, and the 1999-2000 interim minister search committee. He also served for 3 years on the board of trustees. However, many of you probably associate him with his 10-plus years leading our biannual brigades to Nicaragua and more recently the Dominican Republic, where we've helped the organization Bridges to Community build many houses. Most recently, he enjoys singing in the adult choir, both virtually and in person, and helping me coordinate the bi-monthly meals that we serve at the guest house. One of those is coming up next Saturday. He is also serving another term on the nominating committee. In his professional life, Jim is an engineer who works to protect our water environment. He currently is the North American Mixing Solutions Manager for Xylem Flight Products, where he has worked for almost 40 years, designing thousands of energy-efficient water treatment systems for communities across North America. He is particularly proud of the 2 trips he took to India to help Xylem's philanthropic program partner with the organization Water for People in their efforts to provide safe drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene education in rural Indian communities. He is also an active member of the Water Environment Federation, for whom he has co-authored several texts, presented at their conferences, and even led a few sing-alongs. As you can tell by the title of his sermon, Jim is going to talk about water. And I'd like to get us started thinking about water with the following excerpt from a book by one of my favorite authors, Margaret Atwood. The book is called The Penelopiad, and it's a retelling of the Odyssey from the perspective of Odysseus' wife, Penelope. At their wedding, Penelope's mother, who is a naiad or water nymph, advises her daughter on how to use the power of water. She says, "Water does not resist. Water flows. When you plunge your hand into it, all you feel is a caress. Water is not a solid wall. It will not stop you, but water always goes where it wants to go, and nothing in the end can stand against it. Water is patient. Dripping water wears away a stone. Remember that, my child. Remember you are half water. If you can't go through an obstacle, go around it. Water does." Please read along with me the chalice lighting that is printed in your order of service by Katie Gelfand. If you're at home joining us, please feel free to kindle your chalice or candle. We light this chalice as a symbol of reunion. We unite in this sanctuary to share the flow of our hearts with one another. We gather together in ritual to celebrate our fountains of joy, to hold each other through storms of grief, to guide one another through rapids of transformation, to rest together on ponds of stillness. Together we honor the spirit of water, its many forms, and its life-giving essence. Now, would you please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing Blue Boat Home, hymn number 1064 in the Teal Hymnal.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the lonely ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is our blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in a beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is our blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is our blue boat home.
Good morning. I'm Dave Cicero, Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUCW. My pronouns are he and his. As Eileen read those words from a Greek classic, it reminded me of Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching talking about water and the qualities of water. I love how these similar ideas cross time and space throughout the world, throughout human history. That's really fantastic. Another thing that expands over time and space is water, which we're obviously talking about today. A story I'm sharing today was actually published by the Water Environment Federation and written by Lori Harrison, illustrated by John Harrison. and it's called Why Water's Worth It. This story is about water and all that it brings. It creates life and supports living things. Clean water keeps us healthy, strong, and fit. We all need reliable access to it. We need it to clean, to eat, and to drink. It helps us to play, to work, and to think. The need for clean water is hard to ignore. It's saved many lives and can save many more. Now, it needs our respect, and there's a lot that we can do to care for our water and the environment, too. But who makes it work? Who makes it go? What does it take to make clean water flow? In our society today, especially, a valuable network with a life of its own. It's often overlooked, unseen, unknown. The system is vast, above and below. It needs our investment to keep up the flow. Passionate people who love what they do work hard to clean water for me and for you. They keep it moving with plants, pumps, and pipes, with filters and drains of all different types. Now, we're all in this circle, in this cycle. We all live downstream. We're in this together. We are part of the team. So we all use water and create waste too. That means you need water and water needs you. When it's all done, at the end of the day, a little bit of effort goes a really long way. So what about the future? What can we do to manage water and sustain it too? Innovation and technology can help save the day, but we must recycle water and keep pollution away. We make an impact with acts big and small. We must do our part for one and for all. All of it matters, that much is true, and that's why I hope water's worth it to you. Some of us are familiar with some of the efforts that we can take personally and at home and at work to conserve water and make sure it remains clean and a safe resource for everybody who needs it. Sometimes we think, oh, what's that one little thing that I'm doing going to matter? But it does. Sometimes it feels like just a few drops in the bucket. But when everybody is adding a few drops, we can fill that bucket and really make a difference. So the book here, which I'm going to leave on the activity table there on the side, if anybody wants to look at it during the service, has a number of suggestions or reminders of things that we can do to preserve our water and keep it clean. One is to remember the 3 Ps. The only things that should be going down your toilet: pee, poop, and paper. And that's it. No dental floss, no Kleenex, no, by paper, that means toilet paper. It's made to be to break down very easily and flush through the system. You don't want to see some of the pictures online about these clogs in different places of the grease and the diapers and the everything else that gets all caught up. Yuck. Pet waste doesn't go down the toilet. It goes in the landfill, or composted, I suppose. There's ways that we can recycle water. Some of us have rain barrels at home to use to water our garden, which, by the way, the plants love. The rainwater we collect is much better for the plants than the water we get out of the tap, which has been treated for us to drink. And might have things like chlorine and fluoride in it. I found that in my gardens, when it rains or when I use rain barrel water, the plants grow much faster and much healthier. We can take shorter showers, use less water in the bathtub. I'm reminded of growing up with 5 siblings. We often shared the bath, and some of you may be familiar with that experience too. Even once the simple things like when you're shaving or brushing your teeth, don't keep that tap running. Turn it on, turn it off. Some people have special taps that only when you put the brush under the faucet does it work, but you don't need that kind of advanced technology. Just to remember, oh, I'm not using it at this moment. I'm going to turn it off and save our family money, because we end up paying for the amount of water we use at home and at work. So these are all simple things we can do. Our students in RE classes today will be reminded of some of these, and the elementary students will also be actually creating their own water transport system. Going to be junior engineers today, so that'll be a fun thing. So May has agreed to lead us out today. She's going to come light the lantern. And I invite you to join me in singing the children out. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go, may joy surround you. As you go,
Please join me now in a time of meditation. Sit comfortably in your chair. You might want to put both feet on the floor. Relax your face, your neck and shoulders, your back, your arms and legs. Maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze and breathe slowly in and out. This reading is called The Strength of Water by Jamila Batchelder and Molly Hausch-Gordon. The strength of water takes on many, many forms. Just as each of you has a unique and necessary strength that you bring to our community and to the work of love. Take a moment now to drop down into the deep wellspring of your own spirit and bathe yourself in the strength that is the groundwater of your person. Are you a roaring fall, wearing rock away with sheer force of will? Are you a tiny drop of water in a crevice, breaking it open slowly, steadily? Are you buoyant like a great salt lake, practiced at holding others aloft? Are you tenacious like the mountain stream, finding your way down and around every obstacle you face? Are you still and calm like the pond at daybreak, offering radiant peace by your shores? Are you in touch with hidden depths pulling from a vast well? Do you soothe like the steam rising from a cup of tea? Do you dissolve away stubborn muck like water left in a pot to soak? Do you soften and smooth the edges like a creeping fog? Do you clear away distraction like a cleansing rain? Do you roll with the ebb and flow like the ocean waves? Settle your mind upon the strength, the power that is yours. Draw that strength into your heart. Draw it up into your soul. As we gather together the many waters of this community, we need each of your power, each of your resilience, each of your love to make us whole. Now we'll have a few moments of silent meditation.
Good morning. This reading is a part of the introduction to the book Milwaukee, A City Built on Water by John Gerda, a Milwaukee resident and a well-known writer and historian. If you read no further than its title, this book might appear to be a chronicle of the self-evident. Isn't everything built on water? Earth, after all, is the blue planet, its continents rising like islands from vast seas, and the human body is nearly as wet, roughly 60% water by weight. The element is everywhere, and its ability to change shape only amplifies its ubiquity. Rocks crumble, plants decay, and animals return to the soil, but water persists, moving from liquid to solid to gas and back again, without trying or tiring, losing nothing in translation, and always ready to shift its shape again. If there is such a thing as immortality on earth, it resides in water. The element is vital to all life, but it has been particularly important to life in Milwaukee. Water runs through the city's history like a river. It provided the community with its reason for being, first of all, as a great port on a great lake, but Milwaukee's liquid assets don't end there. Over the course of nearly 2 centuries, water has been a source of power, a medium of transportation, an occasion for recreation, an ingredient for industry, an outlet for waste, and indisputably a maker of place. Like many of its sisters in the region, Milwaukee is an anti-Phoenix, a non-Las Vegas, the antithesis of Los Angeles. If those cities are capitals of the Sun Belt, Milwaukee is a mainstay of the water belt, a coastal town every bit as wet as Boston or Baltimore. Milwaukee's connection with water reaches down to the sensory level. Milder winters and cooler summers are one gift of Lake Michigan. Periodic fogs are another, turning the atmosphere into a blanket that covers without smothering, a cloak that's tattered and restored with every shift of the wind. On the coldest days of the year, a broad cloud bank looms over the eastern horizon, while the inner harbor fairly steams. Lake effect snows bring the soft flakes, constellations of fluff that break apart on everyone's coats and faces. And northeast storms can rise to the fury of heartland hurricanes. Even at its busiest, the workaday world pauses with the lake while the lake asserts its presence. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark, very much. And the book that Mark just read from, I have a copy of here. We'll leave that on the activity table, too. And one other really great book, Water Always Wins, published in 2022, recommended by our own Lynn Broadus. Going to leave that one on the activity table also. I'm Jim Fischer, and my pronouns are he and him. Could you warm the water for me, dear? My wife says to me, Eileen. First thing this morning, yep, I said. I picked up the 2.5-gallon bucket we keep at the foot of our bed. I carried it into the shower and began to fill it with the cold water, you know, the cold water that comes out before the hot water. These days, I like to stand holding the bucket right up to my shoulder under the shower and do heel raises. It's a little exercise my doctor told me to do to take care of plantar fasciitis. So for you runners out there, saving water has some side benefits. So the soft, cold water caresses my curved fingers wrapped over the bucket brim. When the cold caress turns warm, turn off the faucet, catching the last drips. I lower my 2-gallon catch to the floor, planting it where it's ready to recharge our toilet tank for the next few flushes. I've been doing a version of this ever since I was strong enough to lift a few gallons of water. And I keep it up now every day that I can. When I was a kid, toilet tanks were much bigger, and one flush could get you, one flush is all you could get from a 2-gallon bucket of water. Today, thanks to modern water conservation toilets, you can get 2 or 3 flushes. Why do I save water this way? What makes me keep up this practice, which compared to the massive challenges we face around water today, sometimes feels like a drop in the bucket? And what are some of the massive challenges? What is being done about them? What can we do to, as citizens of the globe, as members of communities, and as individuals to make things better? Well, let me start with why I keep up my daily practice of catching every drop of cold shower water. Once upon a time, there was a mom, a dad, their 13 children who faced water scarcity and flooding challenges. My story starts with their life lived with water and wastewater challenges, the solutions they came up with, and the adventures they had along the way. Both the dad and the mom had farming in their blood. The dad's dad was a grocer and a butcher whose family were from northern Ohio, and they were farmers there. The mom's mom had immigrated from Croatia, where she and her family had a family farm. Both parents, having farming in their ancestry, probably gave this particular mom and dad the know-how, resilience, and patience needed to manage water scarcity and pass it on, and much of what they knew along to their big growing brood. Their water scarcity journey started when the family size was 12, and they decided to move to the country, dreaming of more room than their city home could provide. The dad bought an 80-acre rectangle of woods and farmland with a vision of building a house surrounded by wide open spaces to raise their growing family. Here's a photo showing mom and the first 10 of us kids sitting on the tailgate of our car, parked on the stretch of country road, in front of the cornfield, surrounded by woods, surrounded by the woods that would soon be converted into our yard. Not the woods, the cornfield. The cornfield got converted to our yard. The whole space was converted to a place that became our home, our playground, and a source of water adventures that it still is today. One of the first things Dad had to do was to hire a well digging contractor to find us a source of water. He was soon faced with a tough choice between two not so great options. How deep to dig the well to find water? A shallower depth yielded water that tasted okay, even if heavy in iron and other minerals. But a shallow well had one looming risk. It might run unpredictably dry without notice. A deeper depth well would yield water that wouldn't run dry, but had a different problem. It had a sulfur taste. I don't think Dad could stand that taste of sulfur in the water, and neither could the rest of us. He chose the shallower well, the water that tasted okay but would run dry occasionally, which it did, unfortunately, most summers for about 20 years, until the city water became available to us. Water use in our home soon became regimented and loaded with creative ways to conserve and prepare for drought. Number one, we wash dishes with 2 sinks of water, one soapy to wash, the other hot and cleaner to rinse. No letting water run while washing or rinsing. We brushed our teeth without letting the water run, always turning it off, kind of like Dave mentioned, when the water was not rinsing. We collected spent laundry water, in the summers especially, to water plants in the garden. During wet weather, we'd prepare for the dry times by filling in reused gallon milk jugs and stocking 100 or so of them in our basement. I can still picture the walls full of shelves of pearly plastic. We had to take showers much like our dad learned in the Army, with 1 helmet full of water. While he limited his routine to a sponge bath using only 1 sink full of water every morning, he allowed the rest of us to do so in the shower. When we showered, we had to use a 5-gallon bucket to save the cold water, like I mentioned earlier. Then, while in the shower, we ran the water only when needed, only long enough to get wet at first, soap up, rinse off. When we rinsed off, turn it on again, and then turn it right back off. This practice had the side benefit of taking only 4 to 5 minutes, a little longer if your hair was longer. Yes, the girls got to take a little more time than the boys. But on a given morning, up to 12 of us needed to bathe, so even if we might enjoy longer showers, we'd be holding up the show. This turned into a little bit of a shaming game some mornings, so we kept things going. When we were little, group showers were encouraged. Not sure how much water we really saved doing that, but it was a lot of fun. I still remember one time showering with two of my brothers, and we plugged up the drain with a washcloth to make a wading pool. Toilets. We flushed toilets only when absolutely necessary. Several of my sisters recalled to me they were so embarrassed when boyfriends were coming over that they would make a point to disregard that rule and flush before their guests arrived. My sister Chrissy recalls a time when she invited some girlfriends over, and one of them said, after some training around our practices and a visit to the bathroom, "There's no end to the lack of privacy in this house. You can even examine each other's..." I'll let you fill in the blank. All this gave me a heightened appreciation for the value of water and to treat every clean drop with care and respect for how it got that way. On the subject of wastewater, our challenges went beyond the need for regimented toilet flushing. Being in a rural area, we had a septic system. And at Thanksgiving and Christmas, when most of us were home for the holidays, more of us were home for the holidays, our septic system would frequently overflow. That drove Dad to expand the system one year by adding more septic fields to relieve the pressure. Overflows were less frequent, but they persisted, and our noses reminded us of the value of wastewater treatment systems designed to handle peak flows. If all that's not enough to explain my motivation to conserve water, let me tell you about growing a vegetable garden. Vegetable gardening was very important to my parents, and thirsty plants played a huge role in our adventures with water resourcefulness. We had a big vegetable garden, about 100 feet long and 30 feet wide, and eventually we had 3 of them. We grew a ton of vegetables. No way could we afford to water it using our stressed drinking water system. What to turn to? Rainwater harvesting. There were 3 ways we harvested rainwater. The first was a naturally occurring ephemeral stream that meandered along the bottom of the wooded valley behind our house. We called it affectionately the creek. It would run strong when the spring rains came, and then gradually lessen and dry up by August. Dad sent us down and up the valley walls with gallon paint buckets in each hand to bail water and deliver it to the thirsty garden soil. The second method of harvesting rainwater was from our downspouts during rainstorms. Dad had ready stacks of 10-gallon tubs and 5-gallon buckets. When rains came, we'd drop everything, distribute the buckets around the 4 corners of the house near the downspouts, and fill them all up. This was so much easier and faster than hefting buckets up and down the creek valley that we were highly motivated to jump into action every time it rained, even though it meant drenched clothing. It was usually actually quite a bit of fun. The third and final way we harvested rainwater was to build a large pond. We cleared a heavily wooded valley behind the house and had a dam built to hold on to the flow from that ephemeral stream that I mentioned. This is a picture of what once was the heavily wooded valley, now with almost all the wood cleared. And yeah, that's yours truly in the bottom of that valley. I'm splitting wood. I'm holding up an axe, and I'm about to split, or had split. You can see all the piles of firewood that we created from the trees we took down. The project took over 10 years, but once it was done, it was a dream come true. Though we still refer to it affectionately as the pond, it's more like a small lake that's 5 acres. And the project grew in scope and size over time. We built 2 large water filters connected to a system of pipes and a pump to irrigate the garden, and flush the first floor toilet. Of course, the pond was also a marvelous source for fishing, swimming, and canoeing. I'm going to jump ahead and then back up. Yep, there's some fun canoeing that happened. And even one of our favorite activities, ice skating in the winter. That was just fantastic. But I also like to share this image. This is a picture of the overflow of the pond. And do you see that flat circular shield shading the entrance to the overflow pipe? There it is again, heading into the dam. So that's to prevent a harmful air vortex from forming when the water level is high, and you need the overflow pipe to carry all the water it can. So interesting fun fact, I used this idea later in life, in my professional life, and got a patent on a little invention to protect submersible mixers from the harmful effects of air intake. Never know when stuff you learn might come in handy. So many of my memories of growing up are water-centric. It's no wonder I'm passionate about protecting our water environment. My study of engineering was water-centric. That was not water-centric at first. I'm going to jump ahead to this happier image. Wasn't water-centric at first when I first studied engineering, but it's no surprise that my life flowed in that direction. After being courted by oil and defense companies after graduating, I chose a job with a company that makes submersible pumps and mixers, and my course was charted. Working for this company has allowed me to expand my understanding of water issues. I learned that wastewater is not a waste, but a resource. Wastewater treatment plants across North America are converting to becoming water resource recovery facilities. They don't call them wastewater treatment plants anymore, or they try not. They upgrade their processes to recover nutrients like phosphorus so it can be used as fertilizer instead of being lost forever as a waste. I learned about living in a large watershed and the importance of protecting the entire watershed and addressing diffuse pollution rather than only addressing point sources of pollution. My daughter was born during the cryptosporidium outbreak here in Milwaukee. I learned how to design water and wastewater treatment plants, how they were, is my mic still going? How they were developed in response to waterborne disease outbreaks to prevent loss of so many lives. I've also been fortunate to visit many parts of the world and discover the wide variety of challenges they face in their communities. For example, during my work with the organization Water for People, building bathrooms in rural India, I learned that there was a widespread lack of safe drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene education. I also learned that the facilities we were building were essential for girls to be able to attend school all month long instead of having to stay home during their menstrual periods. Through our church's partnership with Bridges to Community, we know firsthand that the same kinds of challenges exist in Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic. In Haiti, my wife Eileen works with an organization called Haiti Outreach that builds pumps in rural villages to provide access to clean water for cooking and drinking. But at the instigation of their Haitian co-workers, the organization uses these pumps as a way to encourage the development of civic pride and responsibility. Just as my family developed our own simple strategies to dealing with our water ecosystem, communities all over the world are struggling to figure out their own best practices for water management. I'd like to turn now to what we have done here at UUCW and what else we can do. First of all, we can be super proud of our legacy and our history with Earth Ministry. Just yesterday, Kirk Gaetano reminded me how he and many others have teamed up with Milwaukee Riverkeeper and pitched in on their annual river cleanup work. We should be proud of him and all of you who are out there who I know I but don't know all of those, all of you who have done that, who've pitched in with Riverkeeper to help with that work. And then so many of you who have ministered water around our church over the years. Let's keep that up and keep engaging with Riverkeeper. And speaking of Riverkeeper, our own Lynn Broadus, Lynn, hope you're out there, who once served as the executive director for Riverkeeper, now serves on the board of the Water Environment Federation, the folks who published the book that Dave read. We should be super proud of her. The Water Environment Federation does so much great work, including publishing that wonderful book Dave read. Finally, we should be super proud of our Split the Plate program, which helps us partner with like-minded organizations. In September, we collected over $800 to donate to the organization Community Water Services, helping them to get to the bottom of removing toxic lead from homes in the Milwaukee area and beyond. I want to jump now to something Rob Zimmerman told me. Another thing you can be proud of. In 2004, UUCW attained status as a green sanctuary. Almost 30% of Unitarian Universalist congregations are accredited green sanctuaries, representing their hard work and ever ongoing action to bring their congregations, their congregational culture, into greater alignment with environmental justice as an expression of faith through social action, worship, education, and sustainable living. The Green Sanctuary Program is a 5-stage process, usually carried out over 1 to 3 years, in which a team of people create an action plan to help the congregation progress in 4 areas: environmental justice, worship and celebration, religious education, and sustainable living. Far more than a study curriculum, the program helps congregations take part in transformational activities that deepen ties to UU faith and our search and our 7th principle, bringing congregational culture into greater alignment with environmentally sustainable practices, empowering congregations, families, and individuals to embrace and integrate effective stewardship of the earth into their daily lives, and to grow the environmental justice movement among people of faith by inviting congregations to engage in partnership beyond their congregational walls. All the program resources are freely available online through the Unitarian Universalist Association. The Green Sanctuary Program materials have been revised 6 times, increasingly incorporating an environmental justice lens that helps congregations center justice in their work and take both action grounded in the relations, needs, and leadership of frontline communities. Congregations that were accredited more than 5 years ago, like ours, are encouraged to go through a re-accreditation process. That's one more thing I think we should consider doing. Let's consider getting re-accredited as a green sanctuary. In closing, I want to say there are many other things you can do to care for our water environment. Like the list Dave mentioned earlier, which I recommend you read that book and check out that list. I've created a list of my own top 5 actions you can take to make a difference. Number 1, I'm just going to repeat one Dave said: no wipes down the pipes. So-called flushable wipes can cause a huge clogging problem for wastewater treatment plants. I've seen it so many times firsthand. We even developed a special pump that's made to manage that. Oof, you don't want to see it. It works really great, though. So please don't flush anything except the 3 P's down the pipe: pee, poo, paper, and that means toilet paper, no other kinds of paper. Number 2, compromise. Don't fertilize. If you have a lawn, minimize or eliminate the use of fertilizers, pesticides, or herbicides. These chemicals eventually end up in our rivers and lakes and can cause many problems for our aquatic ecosystems. Number 3, pick up litter before it skitters. Stormwater runoff or wind will carry litter into rivers and lakes unless it's picked up. And litter hurts the water ecosystem and plugs up treatment systems. So pick up litter whenever you have a chance. This is a great action for families to take together. Number 4, hydrate and meditate. Fill up a big glass of water and drink it with appreciation. Reflect on what a blessing water is. You might also visit a river, a pond, or lake. Take a moment to gaze upon it with gratitude. And finally, number 5, make dinner a water winner. When you're thinking about what to have for dinner, consider the fact that the amount of water it takes to produce beef is 6 times the amount it takes to produce plant-based protein. So make your dinner a water winner by enjoying tofu, beans, and rice, or other plant proteins. Blessed be, Ashe, and Amen. In my sermon, can you hear me? In my sermon, I mentioned Milwaukee River Keeper. That's our hometown nonprofit group that keeps an eye on our rivers and eventually flowing to the lake. It's keeping an eye on our lake too. There are so many nonprofit organizations like our hometown River Keeper out there doing good work. So that's another thing we can do. We can support those groups because they do make a difference, and the water is getting cleaner. This song was written by, I think it was written by Pete Seeger. He sure sings it. But it was written to, they sing this song up and down the Hudson River on a sailboat that they sail up and down the Hudson River to raise awareness around water issues and to help clean up the Hudson River. And the Hudson River has gotten cleaner. There are whales sighted in the Hudson River in New York Harbor, which is really amazing. That just happened a couple years ago and they were thrilled. So this song's dedicated to the many nonprofits who are out there trying to get the water to clean up, and all of us who are doing all that good work too. And this is a sing-along, so you guys get to help. So be ready and get ready. So and your part is super easy. So all you have to do is repeat after me. So you just repeat after me, and this will go great. And if you can't and don't want to, that's fine too. So your part goes like this. So when I say sailing up, you say
Sailing up,
great. And when I say sailing down, you say
sailing down.
perfect. After that, you reverse it. When I say up, you say
Down,
that's it. When I say down, you say
up.
perfect. That's it. All right, I think we got this. So you guys ready? Sailing up,
Sailing up,
sailing down,
sailing down,
up,
down,
down,
up.
up and down the river, sailing on, stopping all along the way. The river may be dirty now, but she's getting cleaner every day. Singing here,
Singing here,
singing there,
singing there,
here,
there,
there,
here.
up and down the river, sailing on, stopping all along the way. The river may be dirty now, but she's getting cleaner every day. Take it away, Kurt.
People come.
People go.
People go.
Come.
Go.
Go.
Come.
Up and down the river sailing on, stopping all along the way. The river may be dirty now, but she's getting cleaner every day. Garbage here,
Garbage here.
garbage there,
Garbage there.
here,
There.
there.
Here.
Up and down the river sailing on, stopping all along the way. The river may be dirty now, but it's getting cleaner every day. Catching fish,
Catching fish.
catching hell,
Catching hell.
fish,
Hell.
hell.
Fish.
Up and down the river sailing on,
Stopping all along the way.
the river may be dirty now,
but it's getting cleaner every day.
Take it away, Kurt. One more time. Sailing up,
Sailing up.
sailing down,
Sailing down.
up,
Down.
down,
Up
and down the river sailing on,
stopping all along the way.
the river may be dirty now,
but it's getting cleaner every day.
What did you just say?
The river may be dirty now, but it's getting cleaner every day.
Ooh, tell me that one more time.
The river may be dirty now, but it's getting cleaner every day.
Woo! Thank you so much.
I'm not Julie Tolman, who's under the weather. I am Kathy Herwig. My pronouns are she and hers. I'm here today for Split the Plate, as always. It's our program of outreach and generosity. As you know, each month we designate half of all undesignated offerings to a nonprofit that's aligned with our values. And we have supported river keepers, but it's been a while. So I think maybe we ought to kind of move them up in the rotation. That's something we could think about. Our recipient for October is Maida House of Milwaukee, and here is a video to give you more information about this very important organization.
Hello, and thank you for your interest in learning about Maida House. Our mission is to end the generational cycle of addiction by healing women and strengthening families. We do this by providing our clients with a comprehensive continuum of care that includes residential treatment, outpatient programming, and recovery housing. The core of Maida House's services include face-to-face, in-person treatment for Maida House's clients and their families. Maida House's team of therapists are specifically trained to treat clients with dual diagnoses. This means they're able to help clients identify other mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, in addition to treating substance use. For many of our clients, their clinical diagnoses are also compounded by histories of trauma and poverty. In order to help women establish a healthy foundation for lifelong recovery, our treatment teams get to know a woman's whole story. Our staff is well-versed in trauma-informed care and strength-based treatment. We know that our clients are far more than their addictions, and we believe that every person who walks through our doors is worthy of compassion and respect.
What they're doing is so hard. Essentially, I'm a stranger, and I ask them to tell me their whole life and their whole life story. That takes an amazing amount of courage, it really does.
At Maida House, we celebrate our clients. We help them identify hope, and we help them overcome the challenges they're facing. In addition to one-on-one sessions with their clinicians, group therapy is an important part of the treatment process at Maida House. Our clinical teams run a wide variety of groups that are designed to help women address their therapeutic needs, learn from their peers, and feel less alone as they go through the difficult process of rebuilding their lives.
Seeking Safety is a curriculum that was designed to help address people with complex trauma as well as substance use disorder.
Celebrating Families is a program that we offer here for families who are going through the process of healing from addiction together.
To help them feel welcome, to help them have some hope, and to understand that there is overcoming for the issues that they're facing.
Substance use disorder is pervasive and affects people from all walks of life. Unfortunately, addiction also remains a controversial issue, and many women entering our doors are overwhelmed by years of shame and guilt. But at Maida House, we know that addiction is a chronic health condition, not a moral failing. As with other chronic health issues, effective treatment can help a woman rebuild her life and the lives of her children, changing the trajectory of future generations.
And that is what our moms have the capability to do, even though the world will tell you that they don't. They have the capability to be there for their kids, to be that strong support, that loving person, despite this addiction, despite this disease. And these children will be okay.
For a personal testimony, look at joys and concerns in the current e-news. If you are participating virtually, please go to the UUCW website's Donate tab and select Split the Plate from the menu provided, or you can text or mail your donation today using the information found here. Today, I thank you for your generosity to Maida House of Milwaukee. We will now gratefully accept your offering.
And I have the privilege of inviting everyone to sing with us. We're going to be singing hymn 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. So please rise in body and spirit as you are able. And just as a note, this middle section here on the second page, when we get through the verses, we'll do that middle section. There's a river flowing, there's a river flowing, there's a river flowing 3 times.
Imagine yourself on a wide flowing river in a small boat. You are one little speck of being in a wide expanse of water, bordered by rocky cliffs, towering trees, and bright blue skies. Ahead of you are boulders and whitewater rapids, but also calm pools and sandbars for picnics. Around you are other little specks of being, each one a person, isolated in their own small boat, just like you. But together, all of you form a flotilla, and you will journey together down the river, guiding each other around the boulders, rescuing each other out of the whitewater, enjoying the calm of the still pools and picnics on the sandbars. May your journey through life be the same, surrounded by friends and loved ones who will sustain you through the hard times and rejoice with you in the good times until you reach the shore. Blessed be.
Left a good job in the city, working for the man every night and day. And I never lost 1 minute of sleeping, worrying about the way things might have been. Big wheels keep on turning, proud Mary keeps on burning. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Cleaned a lot of plates in Memphis, pumped a lot of pain down in New Orleans. But I never saw the good side of the city till I hitched a ride on a riverboat queen. Big wheels keep on turning, proud Mary keeps on burning. Rolling, 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 rolling on the river. Bet you're gonna find some people who live. You don't have to worry that you've got no money. People on the river are happy to give. Keep on turning, proud Mary keep on burning. Rolling, 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 rolling on the river. Rolling, 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 rolling on the river.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great day, everybody.